Hi everybody, and welcome to my sixth of 6 videos on this, the Pentax K-3 2. In this video we're going to look at the GPS. This video focuses specifically on that. First thing we're going to look at is how to turn it on and off. It's going to be tricky here. You just got to push the GPS button. I can see the orange light. If you saw the earlier videos about in the menu talking about the indicator light for GPS, that's this light right here. So if the orange light is on and your indicator light selection is on, that means your GPS is on and embedding GPS data into your images. So the GPS here it's pretty nifty. If you're in a new location, you've just opened up your camera or you've gotten off a plane in some new location, it takes typically about 45 seconds, I've found, testing it at about 7 different locations, including in 2 different states during my testing time with this camera, for it to initialize in a new location. If you're in the same location that you were in previously and not too much time has passed, it takes about a second. Now that's just part and parcel to the way that GPSs communicate, or rather, more accurate to say, receive data from GPS satellites and how our position relative to those satellites changes throughout the day. At any rate, it's pretty quick. If you are indoors, your GPS will not pick up a GPS signal in all probability. Let's see after all this time if it's picked up anything. And oh my gosh, it actually has. So you can see here on the back, the green satellite symbol tells us that we have connected with the GPS and that it has this. Here's the signal strength. This is the first time I've gotten the GPS to work on this camera inside. I've tried about a half a dozen times. This is pretty fantastic. Let me turn the GPS back off. Now you can see when the GPS is off, there is no satellite symbol there. Turning it on, until you connect to the satellites, it's red. When it's yellow, that means you have a very weak signal. In terms of battery consumption, the GPS uses basically nil. I haven't noticed any change in battery consumption with the GPS on versus off. And one thing to make sure is that if you don't want your GPS data embedded in your images, make sure that your GPS is off. All right, so that is, oh goodness, the lens cap is upside down, oh no. So now that you've got a GPS log that you took with your Pentax K-3 2, let's see how to use it. Here's Google Earth. Now let's go and pop over to the folder that I have my GPS log in, and you can see it's a KML file. So I'm just going to double click on this. And here we go. If you're not in Google Earth, it'll open up Google Earth for you if it's set as your default. And here you can see the trail I took on a hike when I was out in Knoxville, Tennessee last year. So here's where I turned on the GPS. I take that back. Here's where I turned on the GPS at 11:23 in the morning and 16 seconds. And you can see all the different waypoints. It was taking a waypoint at fixed intervals. And then here's where I turned off the GPS again. So let's zoom in and see how some of this trail actually looks. And what you can do is you can see it lines up fairly well with the trail that's actually here. The GPS's accuracy is limited a little bit by things like mountains and trees. And you can tell that here where I doubled back and I had walked down the exact same way that I came back up here on this trail, but you can see that the GPS didn't log it perfectly because either the accuracy was different after I started it up or the trees and mountain were interfering. But now once I got on top of the mountain, this is really close. I didn't walk back exactly the same way except for over here, and that's pretty accurate. So the GPS is pretty darn accurate on this camera, even when it's got mountains and trees all around it. So this is what the GPS log looks like, and it's pretty convenient to be able to look at it in Google Earth. But let's see what else the GPS is doing. Let's say you're out and you've taken a picture on your hike of an endangered species of butterfly or lizard or something like that. Now if we want to go back to a picture, let's go into the properties here. Now if we go into details, you can see Pentax K-3 2, aperture, all the standard details. Now if we go down here to GPS, we've got latitude, longitude, and altitude. So this will give you a lot of important data for research and data logging, not only where you were, but your elevation above ground. That should say elevation, not altitude. At any rate. Alright, so that is it for my camera series on the Pentax K-3 2. If this video and this series were helpful, please give me a thumbs up. That lets me know that I'm on the right track in creating content which is useful for you. If you have any questions about this camera and how to use the GPS, or any other aspect of this camera for that matter, feel free to leave those questions below. If you have suggestions, please feel free to leave those as well. If you'd like to subscribe to find out when I have more camera-related videos, you can subscribe on the subscribe button. If you are an amateur photographer who has taken photos with a K-3 2, feel free to share a link to your album in the comment section below. And one last thing before we go. Thank you guys for watching. Take great photos.